trying to get down here in time for the lunch break so we could maybe speak to some of the lawfare dopes like Norm Eisen and all of these mainstream news people who are camped out over here like it's the Olympic Village or something. Everybody wants to hear a prostitute testify against the former president. Norm Eisen just tweeted that Stormy Daniels has, hey, look at this. That's a Ferrari. I forget the model. Is it a 512? It's sort of a strange look. Ooh, that's got to be a Chinese owner. 88 times 8888. When my parents were selling their house, the real estate person told them you got to make the last two numbers in the, the offer price or the ask, whatever, 88, so the Chinese people will want to buy it.
Yeah.
It worked. Anyway, Norm Eisen, all these lawfare morons are delighted that they have prostitutes and convicted felons saying all this stuff. You know, again, remember, this is a jury, so if they can manipulate the jury, there's so many aspects to lawfare that we're learning about from observing these criminals in operation. And then they have, these indoctrinated, brainwashed morons on Twitter who will say, oh, well, Andrew Weissman should be in jail, but Trump this and that. It's like, listen, I'm talking about Andrew Weissman. I'm talking about Norm Eisen. I'm talking about George Conway. Remember a week or two ago, I encountered George Conway down here, asked him a couple questions specifically about Andrew Weissman, Norm Eisen, and then the next day, or maybe the day after, pretty soon right after that, an article came out saying that those guys and others were participating in some kind of regular Zoom call about how to get Trump. And then they're doing that. But this is what these guys do always. They're just scheming scumbags. I found out today, and I should have known this, Norm Eisen is the co-founder of that thing, CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. First of all, that's laughable. But second of all, that's that thing with Noah Bookbinder, another jackass who I called up and asked him, how can you use funds from a 501c3 tax-exempt public charity to do all this politically partisan stuff? He had no answer. And the answer is you can't, unless you control the IRS and you know that they aren't going to prosecute you for anything. So let's talk about some more of the lawfare that's going on here. We've heard that Trump is getting sanctioned and, he's found in contempt of court for violating his gag order. It's a beautiful day today. It's feeling like summer more and more each day. But let's talk about this gag order, because again, we can just look at what they're doing and they reveal it's all the same people, right? Remember, Weissman came up under Valerie Caproni. He even says in his stupid book, Where Law Ends and His Stupid Bullshit Begins, in that book he said Valerie Caproni was his mentor. He mentions Felix Sater 11 times. He's dumb enough to say that he personally recommended to the also corrupt Robert Mueller that they use Felix Sater as a cooperating witness against Trump. Now, Felix Sater, almost nobody knows and nobody talks about, and I don't know why Laura Loomer didn't share all of this with Trump in any kind of meaningful way. She connected me with some Trump attorney who only wanted to tell me about basically nothing. Gave me the guy's email address, emailed him, no response. But why is nobody talking about the fact that Michael Cohen shared an office with Felix Sater, and Felix Sater has admitted, and it's been declassified, a FOIA request got the document released. The Intercept did that in 2019. It's admitted that Felix Sater is an FBI UCO. So we have these videos from James O'Keefe which Laura will promote ad nauseum, that reveals nothing. He's giving you, hearsay testimony from a guy who surely the CIA will say, that guy didn't know what he was talking about. He wasn't speaking under oath. He doesn't work for us or speak for us. And all of that is untrue. That's what they will say. I mean, what I'm talking about is documented evidence. So let's talk about the lawfare aspect. Trump is under gag order, and when he released this, which is a signed letter from, I think, 2018 or 19 from Stormy Daniels, people are going to be able to read that better than I can here. January 30th, 2018, to whom it may concern, over the past weeks, I've been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship I had with Donald Trump many, many years ago. The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. I am not denying this affair because I was paid, quote, hush money, as it has been reported in overseas-owned tabloids. Interesting that it's overseas. I am denying this affair because it never happened. I will have no further comment on this matter. So, I mean, isn't that interesting that we have a signed document from the hooker who's testifying? So was she lying then? Is she lying now? How does this work? I don't understand why that's even considered evidence. We're here at the court. But you know what? I want to go where all the press morons are. And that letter was specifically denied by Judge Merchan. Not allowed to bring that in as evidence. So the reason I'm talking about this is because this is exactly the same thing that Valerie Caproni did to me. Different, obviously. My case had nothing to do with Stormy Daniels, nothing to do with paying anybody hush money. But the exact same aspect is when you have exculpatory evidence, whether you're a January 6th defendant, the former president of the United States, or Jason Goodman, I've got this email that was sent allegedly anonymously. I know who sent it. The person who sent it knows who sent it, and I think the court knows who sent it too. But for some reason, this thing was deemed confidential information, even when the attorney for the plaintiff revealed that confidential information, voiding and violating their own stipulated order of protection, such that the information was now in the public domain. You could go to PACER right now. You could look up National Association of Television, National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences versus Multimedia System Design, Inc., DBA Crowdsource the Truth, a non-existent corporate entity. Look up that case. Go to docket number 69. I think it's page 125. And look, you will see Samuel Eichner reveals the email address. So it's public domain, but even sending it to another attorney in the course of trying to find representation in the case, it was deemed that I had violated the order. And just like Trump is getting sanctioned, they're using money. For me, they realized that they couldn't sanction me an amount. They could have, but the sanction wasn't valuable to them against me. What they wanted was they wanted me to not be able to talk about this email. So, they got me under threat of jail, which is where they're trying to get with Trump here. And the reason I say it's the same is because the case is based on nonsense. But once they get you into court, they have all these things that they can do. So even though this, didn't necessarily seem like something that could put Trump in jail, and even if they have no evidence, and even if all of their witnesses are tramps, losers, liars, and felons, which they are, just once they get them in court and the judge can do something like this, say you're not allowed to do something that we know you're trying to do, that we don't want you to do, and then you do it, they can stick you in jail. And so they're just trying to malign Trump, or who knows, maybe they kill him in jail, anything at all could be done, but they want to get him under their control, and they're willing to use dishonesty and deception in order to do that. This guy needs a pizza. Fat ass. The cops are totally ineffective. The press pass. I think there was recently a change where the cops don't control the press passes anymore. I heard something about that. Maybe it was that guy Long Island Audit, because that's what they were basically doing. If you were a journalist who was exposing cop stuff, how ineffective and frankly criminal they are, they won't give you a press pass. The other thing I noticed was this scooter caster, Olia, whatever her name is, she's another one who's always there when crackhead Barney is around, when Orrin Levi is around. She seems to have exceptionally good access to the police. She was running around getting footage, or somebody who works for her, you know, Freedom News TV, running around getting footage right where the police were telling other people to stand on the sidewalk. Why is she allowed to do that? Has she been granted some special kind of press pass? What is up with the police granting special permission to some people? Why is Saeed Elatab able to stand there and have his son assault me right in front of the cops and they won't do anything? Why are people allowed to break the law by riding an electric vehicle on the sidewalk, and then when I call over the police, they start acting like they're going to arrest me and will just not tell the woman to get the bicycle off the sidewalk? It's amazing. It's almost like they're worse than doing nothing. Now, the question is, will there be idiots here today that we can speak to, or is everything... Yeah, see, they got the press pretty... They don't want people like me mingling with people like Norm Eisen, because they know I'm going to ask him questions like, how is Crew able to break the law by using tax-exempt public charity funds? Yeah, we can't get over there to where the press is. They've got it well set up to avoid, you know, you can light yourself on fire out here, that's fine. But they don't want you talking to Norm Eisen, nothing like that. Is that George Conway again? So basically, if you have exculpatory evidence, like a letter from the star prostitute, witness, saying, yeah, there was no affair, or you have the smoking gun email that if you were able to reveal the identity of the sender, even in camera, meaning only to the judge, it would unravel the whole entire case, then the lawfare move is to prevent you from accessing that and to disallow you from getting that evidence in. That's what they did to me, that's what they're doing to Trump. And that's what they've done to lots of January 6th people. They don't want the videos, you know. This is how they control the outcome. They control your attorney. That was done with Michael Cohen, right? And we don't know how long they've been planning to get Trump, or, you know, who Trump mentions, hey, I'm thinking about running for president, or they've hated Trump for a long, long time. Al-Walid, obviously, has got beef with Trump forever. This is more cordoned off than it is usually. Is that because of questions I've already asked George Conway and others that they don't like? Is this how they restrict the freedom of the press? Now, I'm not participating in a rally, so there should be no reason why I would be disallowed from entering any particular side of this thing. I don't think that is George Conway. He wouldn't be back over here. He'd be up by the CNN and all of that. No, it's not. there. I see Norm right there. Gotta talk to that loser. So George's brother is probably on the phone to somebody right now saying, oh, Jason's trying to talk to Norm Eisen. Don't let him do that. Why not? Norm is a legal pundit. It's actually an illegal pundit. Is that guy an FBI photographer taking a picture of me? Looks like he might be. I don't think I'm going to be able to get over there to where Norm is. Let's see if we can make this happen. Am I allowed to cross through here?
So you just cross. No, you gotta have actual court business here. So you can go to the right over there, or Ward blocks down.
Gotta have actual court business. Well, I do. See, that's the thing. I'm sure that's not the law. That's just what the cops say, and the second you argue with that, they'll use their discretion to say that you were engaging in disorderly conduct and kick you out of there. But they don't want people asking Norm Eisen questions that would obviously unravel the case. Like, how can they not allow this evidence of Stormy Daniels sending a letter that said there was no affair to allow it in? Because even if she now says there was an affair, she's contradicting herself. So the judge knocked that out, and he's now threatening Trump with jail. They told me I could access the press. They told me I could access the press area from this side or Worth Street. Can I enter over here? I don't have a press pass, but it's the NYPD that controls those, and they won't give them to me. I am the press. Why is there a pass to exercise the First Amendment?
Yeah, bring that up with the NYPD. I don't know.
Sorry?
I don't know how the NYPD decides that stuff.
I am press, though. Can I just walk over there?
You gotta go through the park.
Through the what?
The
The
park.
park just told me I have to come over here. That's what they said. They're going to tell me
Can't
to
get
come.
in here without a press pass. That's the bottom line.
Can't get anywhere without a press pass. So you know it's against the Constitution to require someone to have a license to exercise the First Amendment, right? So that's an unconstitutional, illegal order.
Oh, I'm pressed.
Can I see your pass, please?
You may.
Why can't you just let me in? You're
Zero
violating the
press pass.
Constitution. Uncover your badge so I can see you violating my constitutional rights. 6662 and 6393, Kowalski and Williams. You guys are disgraceful.
All right, have a nice day, sir.
Yeah, fuck you both. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to get in there, that's for sure. These guys don't give a shit about the Constitution. Oh, and let me just speak about the foul language. Sorry if it offends you, but I don't care. And people who come into the comments and say things like, oh, you know, the foul language is unprofessional. I didn't ask you and I don't care. Don't attempt to influence me. This is not a popularity contest. If you don't like what I say or how I speak to criminals violating the Constitution, don't watch. But do not attempt to influence me, because you see, even if you're doing it from a place of meaning well or whatever, this can't work that way, where people give me their input and I change what I'm doing to accommodate them. That allows for social engineering, and frankly, anybody who wants me to speak to asshole cops or maniacs who try to kill me in some different way are attempting to influence me, and I object to it, so you're gonna get yelled at too. But you see, this is what they're doing. They're trying to control the situation over there. They know that one question from somebody like me can make Norm Eisen look like a fool and reveal some important aspect of this case that they, of course, do not want revealed. So those guys said I have to enter here. I'm just going over to the press area.
The press area. Do you have press credentials?
The NYPD will not give them to me because, you see, this is how they manipulate and control the First Amendment. It's really illegal to require press credentials. I'm just walking through there to exercise the First Amendment. Is that all right?
No, this is close to the public right now. You can't just walk through here. You gotta go either that way or Worth Street.
So they told me over there that I have to come over here. You guys are violating the Constitution. That's Officer Napolitano and Officer Camish. You guys obviously don't care about the law. You're just thugs, and you're violating my rights.
Can I get?
Yeah, fuck all of you with the mohawk, you stupid idiots. Look at this guy. That's an officer of the law. They let that moron walk around with a gun. They let these stupid idiots make decisions. See, this area is closed. So people can understand what's going on between the corporate press and how they just don't want the First Amendment. They just don't want independent voices, independent ideas. This is, we're going to lie and get hookers and felons to lie so that we can jam up Trump, so we can prevent people from voting in an actual election, and we'll decide who you get to vote for. We don't like the First Amendment, so we're going to introduce this unconstitutional press pass. I got to try to apply again, but see, it was previously controlled by the NYPD, and so you just couldn't get one, and it's just super locked down today. So you know what's interesting? This is the first time I've been back since they had this, Olympic Village style setup where Norm Eisen can sit there under an umbrella spewing bullshit about how he's setting this all up, to conduct his lawfare operation against Trump. And they know that I will expose that. Norm Eisen knows exactly who I am. He knows that I know that he co-founded Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. And he doesn't want to answer questions about that because it's illegal. This is for everybody who thinks that the United States is a free country and it's a democracy or a republic, whatever they think. That is a ruse. And we're seeing that now. It is absolutely not. The cops lie. And see, this is also really objectionable about what was going on last night. Just like when I got choked, I wasn't trying to help Elon Musk, actually. I was trying to help us, citizens of the United States who want to access that fifth generational warfare weapon that he purchased, Twitter. I thought I was trying to help him, but I don't want to help him. He doesn't deserve or need my help. And I think he knew what I was trying to tell him, because now he is trying to avoid hearing it and allowing me to know that he knows, because that would compel him to appear and to answer all this stuff. Got to be texting, probably ordering a pizza. When did the NYPD change the rules to allow tattoos? It was fairly recent, right?
Maybe 2008.
2008? Did you get the tattoos after 2008, or did you join the force after 2008?
I joined in 2008.
Thanks. 2008. Yeah, maybe we should have stuck with no tattoos. No offense to people with tattoos, but why did they have that? And why did they get rid of it? I don't know. Not getting in there. That's quite clear. Norm Eisen, what a scumbag. So this guy, in addition to being a co-founder of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, a criminal organization that he should sue me if this is defamatory, but he won't, because that will lead to a lawsuit that would go to discovery, and then they'd have to explain how they aren't violating the law. And although they'd probably win ultimately, they know it would expose a lot of stuff that they don't want to talk about. And they have bigger fish to fry than me on this particular subject, I would think. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to get to speak to Norm Eisen, at least not here. I mean, that's locked down tighter than anything. Right, so what I was saying is it was very objectionable, the police operation that was going on yesterday, because the goal was obviously not to protect the public and maintain order. It was to protect the people at the Met Gala, right? That's why when those bulletproof vested, obviously not regular uniform NYPD cops refused to do anything about the girl on the bicycle, it's because their brains were so deadlocked on their mission, which is not uphold general order, it's protect the Met Gala. And because telling those girls to get off the bicycle would, in their mind, not have had any immediate impact on that, they didn't want to do it. The truth of the matter is just a person in a police outfit telling that girl he's right, get the bicycle off the sidewalk, it's illegal, would have caused a person like that to comply, because she didn't look to me like the person or the type of person who would just openly defy the cops. Now, isn't it also interesting that Laura's rally took place here when this thing was not super locked down like that? You could move freely between the sides and people could disrupt, and you didn't have Norm Eisen and CNN and all those people. See, those guys get extreme police protection at the expense of my First Amendment rights, because the police, they don't care. They care about getting money and gaining political influence for themselves so they can run for mayor someday. And this is what they do. I just don't see how I'm going to be able to speak to Norm Eisen other than staking this area out and waiting for the thing to end, but then he could leave through a variety of exits that I might never... It's a challenging thing, and he knows that. And so do the cops. So I don't think we're going to get to speak to Norm today. But right, in addition to creating Crew, he went to Harvard Law School with Obama. So I wanted to ask him if it's true that Al-Walid bin Talal made a huge contribution to Harvard Law School that resulted in Obama getting in. Remember in 2008 when they told you, oh, Obama went to Harvard Law School, everybody was like, wow, you got to be pretty smart to get into Harvard. Now we know all you have to be is DEI. You can lie, you can make up whatever you're writing about, copy it, plagiarize it. They don't care. You make you president of the whole place. And in Obama's case, they made him president of this whole place. So this is a desperate play to prevent Trump from getting into the White House, because they'll say, oh, he's a lame duck, this and that. But knowing Trump and just his unusual style of doing basically everything, he might even be more dangerous as a lame duck president, because he's not worried about getting reelected. So he's not going to have to tiptoe on political eggshells. I don't know, maybe not prosecuting Hillary Clinton in his first term was that. I didn't really understand it, but you know what? Maybe sometimes people do things and you don't like it when they do it, but then at some point later you realize why they made that decision, and perhaps you even agree with it. Like maybe he realized that prosecution would have this kind of, create all this unrest where people would say, oh, he's just doing this because he's president and trying to get back at his enemies. I mean, ironically now, that's what they're doing to him. But he also might not have gotten anywhere with it, because it's quite clear that the entire Justice Department, all of these U.S. attorneys, former district attorneys, they're now part of Norm Eisen's lawfare crew. appearing in podcasts, writing books, going on MSNBC, telling Anderson Cooper and everybody who will listen about how hookers and felons are good witnesses, just like these guys are selling stolen products from the Apple store, trying to hide them from the camera. You guys are fucking criminals. Why don't the cops come and arrest these guys? You know, they did a bust a while ago, and then they come back. But we should have enough police officers that if every day that these guys come back, you arrest them, it's eventually going to become, look at this, here's a cop walking right by all this criminal stuff. What is this fucking asshole saying? Yeah, fuck you too. Go back to where you came from. Excuse me, miss. You're walking by all this crime, doing nothing. These guys are selling stolen goods. Why don't you get on the radio and get some police over here? What? You're not a police officer? There are no police. This guy's following me and threatening me, and you're doing nothing. Go tell him to stop. You see this guy? He's threatening me, and you're doing nothing. What's your badge number? Let me see your badge, miss. Excuse me, officer. I'm asking to see your badge.
I'm not covering it.
You're also not doing shit. You should quit. You're a useless fat piece of shit. See how emboldened these guys are? They're threatening me in front of the police. This guy, fuck you, you son of a bitch! Insane criminals roaming around, threatening people in front of the cops, riding fucking electric vehicles on the sidewalk. Get it off the sidewalk, you fucking asshole!
To get off the sidewalk.
That guy listened. I've had it. I've had it with the cops. I've had it with the criminals. So this is what happens when you unravel the justice system and pervert it in the way that Norm Eisen and these other guys have. Lawfare is detrimental to society. That is why I'm doing this. So do not get into the comments and tell me, I don't like what Jason says. I don't like it's not professional. Just fuck off and stop watching if you have an issue with that. But this is what's happening. This is real. I could put on a suit and sit on a set and politely explain bullshit to people. Would that be more professional? Society is deteriorating because polite speaking criminals have perverted the justice system. Okay? And I might choose offensive words, but my ideas are righteous, and as my purpose is as well. That woman is a coward in a police costume who should be fired today. She should get on the radio and say, hey, there are illegal products being sold over here. It's out of control. These guys are intimidating citizens. That entire block should be rolled up and those dudes should be stuck in jail. And they should do that every day until whoever is providing those counterfeit products realizes this is a money-losing proposition. Obviously, the cops want that to happen. So the cops are facilitating crime. Why would you call them to get them to stop a crime? We know they won't do it. Not in the case of George's brother. They're enabling that. We know they won't do it in the case of Saeed Elatab and his son who assaulted me right in front of them. I mean, obviously they weren't going to do anything. Look at this guy's shirt. Only reason that guy picked it up is that he saw that he was on camera. It's a nauseating state of affairs. I really thought I would be able to just walk in there, wait until Norm was done speaking, and then go talk to him. See, if those news agencies and the people speaking to them were being honest, they would not fear being approached by anybody with any question. Mtron. See, what does that lightning bolt mean? Maybe nothing. But I don't know. I think something. The police are so corrupt. The courts are so corrupt and stupid, all of them. It's an intractable, unsolvable almost. Very upsetting. If people didn't get a chance to see that video yesterday, I encourage them to watch it. See, because the thing that's interesting is I'm becoming a bit like one of these guys. We did a show on Discovery Channel called Hillbilly Blood. And the guys who are the star of the show, they say that hillbilly is not an insulting term. It's a cross between a redneck and a hippie. And they wore it as a badge of honor. But I mean, these guys could like go into the woods and smell a leaf and tell you where a deer is, you know? And I guess that's, obviously I don't have those skills, but that's from years and years of hunting and tracking animals and understanding their behavior and picking up on the most subtle clues, understanding that this type of animal eats this type of flower, or, you know, if you see a particular bush or a leaf, you're likely to find some sort of something near it. I seem to be developing those senses with regard to these FBI UCOs. And there's very little doubt in my mind that these people that I've been talking about who are frequently hanging out at things like that, Crackhead Barney and Orrin Levi, Ezra Frisch, who else? George even. They are FBI UCOs, undercover operators, contractors to various companies. Even that Max Azzarello seems to be an FBI UCO, somebody who is contracted to do something as part of an undercover operation, and the cops are read into the program, so they protect that somebody. And whatever they're doing, even if it's illegal and you are disrupting it, they're gonna bust your balls, not the criminal. And we know they do that. They allow Whitey Bulger to do crime. So I'm starting to try to figure out some of these relationships, right? We've got Saeed Elatab on his own Facebook page, was meeting with, I forget the guy's name, but the PLO ambassador. Here's a Rivian. I don't know, I think that company's gonna fail. But Elatab has a Facebook page where he's got pictures of himself with the ambassador, the PLO ambassador to the UN. PLO is the Palestine Liberation Organization. That was run by, what was his name? Yasser Arafat for a long time. And then he died under some kind of mysterious conditions. I'm not totally familiar with the details surrounding the death of Yasser Arafat, but Saeed Elatab, he seems to be down with the PLO. So let's think about this from the standpoint of a Sopranos episode. If you're the FBI, you're interested in understanding what the PLO is doing in the United States for good reason. And I'm certainly not trying to disrupt any legitimate counterterrorism work. Anti-terrorism is what it should be called. Counterterrorism is fighting terrorism with terrorism. Anti-terrorism is really what we want the FBI to be doing, but they never say that. They say counterterrorism. See, I say counter-lawfare because I do believe you need to understand the lawfare techniques and use similar techniques to counter them. because clearly they've got the court under control. So if I was to listen to the advice of Larry Klayman and other traditional lawyers who've spoken to me about this, I would focus on the pleadings and forget about these conspiracy theories, settle with the parties, you know, standard lawyer nonsense. But no, you need to use counter-lawfare techniques. And Trump, he's got very good instincts for certain things. Like his counter-lawfare is to, you know, a lawyer would tell you, ooh, don't post anything on Truth Social because you got a gag order, and if you violate it, you're going to get sanctioned. But Trump is engaging in counter-lawfare and posting this stuff anyway so that the public will know, uh-oh, did I get zapped? Yeah, see, it seems like they have some way. I think the police have the ability to use tools that prevent me from broadcasting. Let's see if we can reattach this. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, the point is, a lot of disruptions like that yesterday. If people missed the video, I encourage you to check it out because it was very interesting. Now look at this. I was about to walk through there, but here we have more police setting up more barricades. What's going on over here? So anywhere there's nothing going on, there's a police presence, and then when the police are needed, they have nothing to do. These guys are both fat slobs. So that thing is closed off for some reason. Previously that was like a public, you could walk through there. Anyway, it's important because I was seeing all of those Hasidic Jews for Palestine, whatever the name of their club is, and I thought it was remarkable that I saw those guys in a photograph on Saeed Elatab's Facebook where he was hanging out with them in his basement, and he had alternating pictures of himself with them and with the Hamas members, with the headbands and all that kind of stuff. So he is hanging out also in that series of photos with the ambassador to the UN from the PLO. So right, I was saying about The Sopranos before that disruption. So we know from watching The Sopranos that the FBI, they want to infiltrate the gang. They want to find someone within there who maybe has some sense of morality or is moderate to the extent that they can be dealt with, make some kind of deal with the person. Hey, you know, informant person, we want to give you $100,000 to pretend you still work for the Sopranos, or in this case, the PLO, but you're actually going to be working for us. And in the case of Saeed Elatab, it would seem that that's been going on for a long time. He's been in the United States and working as a photographer and a paparazzo, certainly since the time that Yasser Arafat was running the PLO. So he could be like Felix Sater. He could be some really trusted FBI asset that's deeply embedded. And you know, they're going to get upset that I'm talking about this because people in the PLO might not know. They probably would hate it. But who knows? Maybe the PLO was created by the FBI. I have no idea. But it's interesting to observe that just like Oren Levi, whose brother told me they were Mossad, Saeed Elatab likes to hang out near the police while his son does things that the police should be arresting him for, namely engage in assault. Cops don't care. And the son is so brazen and so emboldened perhaps by his father's putative FBI UCO status. Maybe they're selling more of these Rivians than I realized. But it seems like the son is so emboldened by the father's putative FBI UCO status and so confident that the police aren't going to do anything but protect him, he's ready to start smacking my equipment and assaulting me right in front of them. And sure enough, they didn't say a thing. You know, they're saying, oh, there's a riot about to go on. Well, okay, shouldn't a fight that's about to start be something that you're concerned with? And tell the guy, listen, back off, leave him alone. They didn't do that. It was only my screaming and yelling that caused Elatab to realize that his son continuing to assault me was going to create a bigger problem than they wanted right there. But it's, I mean, if you didn't hear the phone call that I had with Saeed Elatab, that was on a sponsor exclusive video, and I hope that people will go listen to that on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And people might be saying, Jason, why are you putting this important information behind a paywall? Look, this is closed too. So the cops are expecting something. I can't walk through the park? Oh no, the sidewalk is open. Walking through to the park.
I'm sorry.
Why not?
Because there's a protest going on.
Where?
Due to the events at hand, only they allow.
I'm an NYU alum, and this is a public
No,
space.
it's not. It's private property.
No, it's a public charity. NYU is a tax-exempt 501c3 public
That's
charity.
good to know.
Let me walk through.
You can't walk through, sir.
What's your name? Where's your badge?
Don't worry about that.
What's your fucking name, you
Don't worry
dunce?
about it.
Don't worry about
Don't
it.
worry about it. Walk
Yeah, you fucking idiots. So the rejects from the cops get hired by NYU security. Do you even have a GED, you stupid idiot?
It's not required.
Closing down the fucking park. Due to the situation at hand, goddamn idiots. We are in a world filled with idiots, and they get empowered by bigger idiots. It's like a homemade electric motorcycle. So there's a protest going on in the park, and they say that NYU is private property. I don't think so. All of these universities need to lose their tax-exempt status. Why are taxes paying to create these cauldrons of ignorance and hatred that are just paying morons? Someone's going to be pissed off. Will they even notice that before they start trying to drive away and ruin their car? It's just disgusting. There is no protest going on, and there's no need to close that. These idiots could have control over criminals rather than allowing this stuff to spiral out of control. Maybe we wouldn't have this problem. So I wonder why Andrew Weissman isn't going down to the Trump trial and running his mouth. There's no protest going on. Liars, idiots. You know, those guys. It's kind of a nice day. I definitely think that removing the tax-exempt status from these universities is one of the #1 most important things that could be done. The amount of money that would be saved. We need to fire all these people. They have too much money to hire people that don't know what they're doing, aren't needed. This is the opposite of a protest. That guy's selling toothpaste or something. Seems like a lot less weed being sold. I wonder why that is. You know, they obviously have the ability to make things happen if and when they want to. Yeah, so with regard to Saeed Elatab, I think he's an FBI UCO. And the FBI says, all right, NYPD, you signed this memorandum of understanding when you joined the JTTF. Shouldn't be skateboarding in the park. Stupid asshole. You know, someone's gonna get trichinosis or something, you know, eating food from unlicensed vendors. What's the point of having licenses? You got to have a license if you want to, you know, walk up and ask Norm Eisen a question. But if you want to sell poison food, you could just sit right out there and do that. Nobody even knows who you are. So this is a nonsense society that we're in. And that's just being documented and proven. We have a bunch of ignoramus, just reprehensible goons and men in dresses. What on earth? You know, they'll protect criminals like Norm Eisen and Saeed Elatab, but if you want to expose the criminality, they're ready to break your head. Yeah, so the cops would protect him, and they'd even say, okay, we have these other FBI UCO idiots that we need you to work with. What do we think about that in terms of evidence that last week or 2 weeks ago, Saeed Elatab, he's standing right outside the coffee shop. Oh yeah, wait a minute. I think that coffee shop might be around here. I'm pretty sure Alec Baldwin lives on 9th Street. I could be wrong about that. But let's see if we can locate that coffee shop. The point is, Elatab was waiting outside to take those pictures of Alec Baldwin. I did confirm after our phone call that he does quite frequently photograph Alec Baldwin. And it almost seems like, you know, he was waiting there with crackhead Barney, knowing she was gonna come right outside. Like if they approached Alec Baldwin, followed him together, and then he went into a coffee shop and they said, okay, go in there and start bothering him. And then when he comes out, I'll take pictures of him. And why does crackhead Barney care about Palestine? She was, you know, going on and on with Walter Masterson about the vaccines and stuff like that. She doesn't really seem like a very political activist so much as she just seems like a disruptive street performance clown. But it's interesting that she's always on the side of whatever opposes the sensible. That would be consistent with her being, you know, hired as a provocateur. And so Elatab went into this whole ridiculous overture about how it definitely was not a conspiracy because she was alone. I saw her outside alone. So it was definitely not a conspiracy. You have to believe me, Habibi. He said something like that. So now, in that vast protest of thousands of people walking all over Manhattan from 68th up to 80th, one block after we run into crackhead Barney, he's there. She's walking as if she just left the position he was in with the police. Like they've just been injected into the crowd. And for what purpose? To start a fight with somebody like me so the police can come and arrest me and then say, oh, you know, right-wing Trump supporter, does X, Y, and Z. Then forever they can go on and on about how the only violence at that thing was caused by me. They're, you know, they don't necessarily have, oh wait, I forgot to go down 9th Street. they don't necessarily have all these ideas worked out. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. Even if I do see Alec Baldwin, he's going to not want to be impromptu recorded. That's what people who want to razz him do. But that's the thing. She's harassing the guy. Elatab is assisting her in doing that. There he is the next day. Plus, all those Hasidic Jews for Palestine are in his basement. I mean, is that guy there just manufacturing this entire thing? Is that what the police do? That they create the riots so that they can control them? I don't know. It seems weird, though. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't going to work. He's somewhere on 9th Street, and they were somewhere nearby around here. It could be anywhere. It could be 11th, could be 8th, I don't know. But it seemed quite obvious that they were waiting outside that coffee shop to harass him. When I asked Elatab about it, he acted weird. Obviously, both him and his son were quite upset about that. You know, George's stupid brother is on a tear, sending around letters, trying to FOIA information about my father's medical career in 1970 in the Navy, looking for things that never occurred. He obviously doesn't understand the difference between a cardiologist and an obstetrician. Maybe that's why his own kid is so fucked up. But I'm not that bothered by that. I'm not, you know, he's getting into stupid stuff that's easy to ignore. Elatab and his son seem quite irritated by what I was talking about, because if I'm right, you know, if he were Big Pussy and this were The Sopranos and some guy was following him around on a live stream and putting it out there into the public that he's communicating with the FBI, Big Pussy's son might have gotten agitated as well, because he knows what the implications of that are. Or even if it's not that severe, if he's an undercover FBI operative and I reveal that, the FBI is not going to work with him anymore. So either way, they're going to get upset, and both of those guys seem super upset. Why is that?
But we've never talked.
Jack's wife, Frida. This neighborhood is changing. Lots of stuff closing. Yeah, I used to run into Alec Baldwin fairly frequently in this Japanese restaurant over here, Japonica, that used to be outstanding. Then they crushed the building that it was in. It had to move to a smaller place. Then the owner had a heart attack and I think maybe died. I haven't been in there in a long time, but definitely a different owner now. El Cantonero. Yeah, no, there's Japonica still. Yeah, so they seem mighty upset. His son just had this like unbridled anger, like a dog, like a vicious animal. He wanted to attack, even with the cops right there. It's an amazing instinct, isn't it? That's some real anger. That's like indoctrinated from birth, terrorist to be anger. Got a lot of that rolling around. So NYU has just arbitrarily closed that park for no reason. There is no riot there. And when they had a riot previously, I don't think they handled that properly, right? Here we got a cop shopping on the phone, getting lunch. I don't know, to me, it would make a lot more sense if, as part of being a police officer, they had like a cafeteria where they made good food and gave it to the cops instead of having them eat McDonald's all the time. Didn't Eric Adams say that he got so unhealthy because he was eating McDonald's? If you know you're going out on some kind of thing, why not have like prepared sandwiches or whatever made for the cops where it's high quality food that they don't have to pay for? And maybe the city saves money because they're buying and preparing a large amount of food and disseminating it around. I don't know. I think there's a huge number of ways that the work that the police are trying to do could be made much more efficient. But they're not into that. They're just into being bullies and thugs and doing nothing, and then protecting people like Elon Musk and the celebrities at the Met Gala. It's really disgusting. And it's also another thing that makes me just so despise celebrities and people who think they're important for singing songs or acting in dumb movies. But you see, that whole air of celebrity, it's part of this intelligence community control grid, whatever it is, because they, those people have so much influence. So this takes me to Michael Jackson, who Elatab was involved with as well. I mean, think about that. If the entertainment industry is part of this and the people in it who have influence are used to tell people who to vote for, they're doing that with Taylor Swift, obviously. They talk about how Epstein had celebrities and royalty and all kinds of stuff at his parties. So on the one hand, they want celebrities so they can entice other people. And I mean, it's influence, right? They want to, hey, do you want to come to a party at Michael Jackson's house? Who's going to say no to that? So Elatab's son, and I don't know if it was the guy who we saw yesterday, we should ask him, was hanging out with Michael Jackson, and his testimony about how Michael Jackson didn't do anything to him was on CBS and the New York Post. Now, I mean, maybe, who knows what the timeline is, but just the fact that that guy knows and hangs out with Michael Jackson at all seems very weird to me. If Saeed Elatab was a music producer and lived in Los Angeles, and his kid went to high school with Taj Jackson or something like that, then I could see it. But how does the guy from New Jersey who's in the PLO get to hang out with Michael Jackson? I mean, they skip over all that. The story just says that Michael Jackson started calling his 9-year-old son. But how did he even know the son in the first place to have his phone number? That doesn't make any sense to me. And we recently found out that Shmuley Botiak was hanging out with Michael Jackson. Why?
That's not happening again.
Shmuley Botiak was hanging out with RFK when RFK needed to smooth over his reputation, being accused of anti-Semitic whatever. And there was Oren Levi with the cops. What was he doing there? Was that a Mossad operation? What the hell is this? Psychiatry, an industry of death. Expo. Electroshock. Psychiatry's electroshock torture is a $3 billion business. I didn't know that they were even doing that anymore. It's a strange thing. But there seems to be activity between the Mossad, PLO operatives like Saeed, putative PLO operatives. We don't know for sure. This is my opinion, my speculation based on a growing amount of evidence in the public domain and their crazy reactions to me saying these things where, for instance, like I said, my father is not that upset about this nonsense that George's brother is sending around because there's nothing to it, and even if he takes it to the ultimate end of the earth, my father's not gonna, you can't just make something up and get somebody in trouble for that. Whereas if you start talking about something that this guy's been trying to keep a secret for 25 years, and if you understand it quite clearly and articulate that to the public, seems like they might get upset. So the question is there some sort of Mossad, FBI, CIA operation that involved Epstein, that involves Dershowitz, that involves Shmuley Botiak, Saeed Elatab? Who am I forgetting? All these people. I think yes. I don't know, but I think so. It's actually kind of calm today for those dopes to be closing the little NYU street there. Should look into the legality of that, of them claiming this is private property and disallowing public access arbitrarily while they receive public tax funds. Just always wasting time, these idiots. What are they going to do? Time for lunch? Why are they clearing that guy out? He's not even riding the bicycle, and they have all these cops. So you could ride a bicycle on the sidewalk, no problem, but you sit there.
Leave my stuff alone, please. I don't bother anybody. I'm leaving. Leave my stuff alone. I can't do this.
You're saying yeah, but they're not answering.
Yeah, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I think I've seen that asshole before.
I'm not funny. I'm the anniversary of the forming of the police department. Don't embarrass me. I don't have a knife. I'm home. Who am I stabbing? People really going to have a knife? I don't have a knife. God, you can't do this to me. I'm parked up. I'm just having lunch, guys. Leave me alone, please. I got killed.
I don't know what's going on with that guy. It's interesting to see who the cops choose to hassle and when. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Look at this, all these cars. You know, you got an entire block of criminals. They won't do anything. You got people selling illegal food, nothing. That guy's sitting there. 5 cops come over. I mean, look, I don't think that people who aren't customers of businesses should be occupying the seats, but what about all these stories Charles has told us about the cops who tell the deli owners, like, well, yeah, why are they protecting that restaurant and not the other guy's deli? Has that guy stolen $900 worth of stuff? Why is that being enforced? He seemed to be just sitting there. Maybe something happened before we walked up, but very misguided, the police in this city. It's very upsetting. I see a lot of migrants rolling around, and I mean, aren't desperate people who are here in a foreign country on their own going to try and form alliances, create gangs? I mean, it's sort of the obvious evolution of the insertion of thousands of aimless people into a society like this, where there's stores with food and money and goods and all kinds of things they can steal. The cops don't know what they're doing. The courts are busily focused on Trump. It's not just Trump, it's they're focused on maintaining their corrupt control of the entire system, maintaining their corrupt control of the courts, maintaining their corrupt control of the news media, maintaining their corrupt control of political offices so that their cohorts in crime can maintain their status. That's what this is all about. That's what this Trump trial is about, is preventing Trump from even running so that he can't get in there and abolish this Obama clique of stuff. Ralph's coffee is doing well. Good for Ralph.
My room's there. This is like 3 houses. But I can also.
Why do they need all those cops to get rid of that one guy? Maybe it's because they said he had a knife. But you know what? I don't understand why, when you call the cops and tell them something, they come and respond to it. When somebody assaults you right in front of them, oh, this was great. So yesterday, after Charles and I, ended the broadcast, we went down to the subway, and this guy right in front of us, college student-looking white guy, wearing some hat from somewhere that Charles recognized that was like some fancy prep school or something. He jumped the turnstile. And then just past the turnstile, around the corner, tucked away where they couldn't see anything, were 2 cops. And I said, hey, that guy just jumped the turnstile. Why don't you give him a ticket? And they said, oh, well, I didn't see anything. I said, right, I'm giving you eyewitness testimony. Why don't you go interview him and ask him if he jumped the turnstile, gauge his response, and use your discretion to determine if he's telling the truth or not. Seems like the cops can do that when they want to. And he refused to do it. They're just down there, dead set on not doing a damn thing. Disgusting. And I mean, what is that guy going to cost the city and the taxpayers over the life of his police career? And what is he doing? What is the value that guy is bringing to the city of New York, standing in the subway, not thwarting crime? By the way, the other thing is, if the guy is not like a drunk, drooling, out-of-control maniac, but instead a put-together, young, college student-looking guy, the very fact that a cop might come over to him and start questioning him about that has a certain level of deterrence against future infractions like that, because it's going to make the kid nervous. It's going to make him realize that he knows what he did is wrong. But if he gets away with it, he's emboldened by it. If he almost gets caught, he might think, yeah, that wasn't the right thing to do. I shouldn't do that. But the cops themselves are just losers, not dedicated to law enforcement. Everyone's like getting upset when I speak negatively about the cops. You should be more upset about these police officers who are doing nothing, to the extent that they've converted a former supporter of law enforcement into somebody who totally distrusts them and has no confidence at all in their ability or even desire to enforce the law. I'm just showing people what they're doing. Totally unprofessional, totally rude. Almost all of them are stupid as can be. Vindictive, lying criminals themselves. I got to do another counter-lawfare report pretty soon to explain to everybody the reprehensible way in which the NYPD is lying in Goodman versus the city of New York. I think Elon Musk is also perhaps being not honest, because he's been served, he's appeared. I requested a settlement conference. They refused. Now, May of 2022, Elon Musk released a tweet in which he said he's never going to fight a justified lawsuit. That's the whole reason why I asked for the settlement conference. And he either has read the lawsuit and doesn't think it's reasonable, which I find odd, because I was there to tell him that the FBI was controlling Twitter 5 weeks before he found that out, and he now knows that. and I got choked by people who are quite obviously Twitter employees, either through the NYPD or their own security or some sort of security contractor, but they were paid by a company that Elon Musk owned on the day that I was attacked. And this respondeat superior, because he's the boss and these people were carrying out their job when they injured me, he should be responsible. He is responsible. So if he thinks it's unjustified to file a complaint when somebody strangles you, then fine, lawsuit it is. But that means he's an asshole. And you know, he is the guy who said, oh, you know, we'll coup anybody we want. So I guess that's the same attitude as we'll just strangle anybody we want. If you are, I mean, the idea is, I thought I was there trying to do something helpful, but this really, people will say, oh, I don't want to hear about Jason complain about his problems. I'm not complaining about my problems. I'm trying to point out evidence that is likely to prove that Musk knows everything that was going on at Twitter. He knows that it's still controlled by the FBI, and he knows that this lawsuit is likely to expose that. So see, those people are selling illegal food. We just had a pandemic where the cops would beat you up if you didn't have a piece of paper on your face, but they don't care about people who don't have a business license, who aren't inspected by the Department of Health. Just sell food, that's fine. You can't really call these things rules or laws, first of all, when they make no sense, and second of all, when they're not enforced, or when they're selectively enforced. Because then what happens is society and order break down. And that is what these idiots, Norm Eisen and Andrew Weissman, and the cops and the governor and the mayor, that is what they're doing. They are causing society to be destroyed. Me running around the city yelling at people, that's just punctuation. Don't tell me that you don't like what I'm saying. It's just not going to get listened to. But I definitely encourage people to check out yesterday's video, check out this encounter with crackhead Barney. I've got a director's cut. There was all this disruption, so I'm putting together a director's cut. It's a very lengthy process to repair those types of problems, but that was an important, I think perhaps even someday will be a component of the historic record of what we're being led up to, kind of in the same way that January 6th was and is, and I didn't even necessarily appreciate exactly all of what we had captured on that day. So, I mean, I want to go through and make sure people can see it. Right, I was going to address this before. People saying, oh, why are you putting this stuff behind a paywall if you want more people to see it? Because, I mean, the answer is, even when I had 120,000 subscribers and put a load of stuff on YouTube where ostensibly everybody could see it, it didn't stop them from smashing those accounts. What it did do was, if I put all my eggs in the YouTube basket, I would have been out of business 4 years ago when that thing got crushed. So people who think this is valuable information should become sponsors on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Another asshole on a bicycle. They know they're not supposed to be, which is why they're looking at the camera. But yeah, thanks to everybody who's sponsoring the show. I wouldn't be able to continue doing these shows and exposing this information and finding out about Saeed Elatab and the high likelihood that that guy's an FBI UCO protected by the NYPD, same way that they're protecting what's going on November 1st down at Twitter. Why would an attorney for the city lie, provably lie in a pleading entered in district court? Well, it's the same reason why they're keeping Trump's evidence out. This is lawfare. We'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll be back tonight with Shepard and Bellis at 8 o'clock. Don't miss that. Get hit by a